I want to dip into, are they still debating in Georgia? So let's just dip a little bit into the debate between Senator Raphael Warnock and that idiot Herschel Walker.
And just because he said something doesn't mean it's true. I have supported our police officers. I've called them and I've prayed with their families, like those officers lost in Cobb County when they were killed, doing what police officers routinely do. You can support police officers, as I've done, through the COPS program, through the Invest to Protect program, while at the same time holding police officers, like all professions, accountable. One thing I have not done, I've never pretended to be a police officer, and I've never threatened a shootout with the police.
Well, and now I have to respond to that.
We are moving on, gentlemen.
I have to respond to that. And you know what's so funny? I am with many police officers, and at the same time,
Mr. Walker, Mr. Walker, Mr. Walker, excuse me, Mr. Walker, please, out of respect, I need to let you know, Mr. Walker, you are very well aware of the rules tonight.
Yes.
And you have a prop.
Yes.
That is not allowed, sir. Yes. I ask you to put that prop away.
Well, it's not a prop. This is real. And he said, I have a problem. I never worked with law enforcement.
It is considered a prop, Mr. Walker.
Yes.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
You're very well aware of the rules, aren't you?
Well,
aren't you aware of the rules?
He brought up the truth. Let's talk about the truth.
Thank you for putting that prop away. And as a matter of fact, we still have a lot to get to, and we are not going to continue this. We're going to follow up with a question, and this is according to the CDC. Homicide is the leading cause of death for African-American youth. Mr. Walker, in 30 seconds, why do you believe this is happening? And what would you do to stop it?
Well, what I would do is hold people accountable, which is Senator Warnock not doing. Believing in no cash bail, no accountability, that is a problem. People must be accountable for their action. And the truth lies with Senator Warnock, because he said he was going to Washington to represent Georgia. He went to Washington to represent Joe Biden. That's the reason we're in the mess we're in today, because he represents Joe Biden and not the truth for Georgia.
Senator Warnock, this follow-up for you. Same question. What do you believe homicides among African-American youth is growing? Why are those homicides growing, sir? And how do we stop it?
Well, it's heartbreaking. And I've seen this up close as a pastor. I've presided over some of these funerals. I've met with young people. And we have to have rules and laws in the society, which I support and I've invested in as a legislator. At the same time, we have to create opportunity. There's no sickness like the loss of hope. When people lose hope, when they doubt that their life can be any longer or that they can dream of something bigger than the street they live on, a lot of things can happen. I grew up in one of those neighborhoods, but I had a nurturing family, and I benefited from good federal public policy, like the Head Start program, like Upward Bound, like Pell Grants and low-interest student loans. And to invest in our children is to invest in our best resource.
Senator Warnock, thank you. We are moving on, gentlemen, to the next question. And this topic is about personal integrity. Buck?
We're going to shift gears a little bit here. Senator Warnock, in 2020, you tweeted this: unemployment benefits have expired, rent is due, and many Georgia families are at risk of eviction. My opponents are supposed to be serving the people in Washington, but they are clearly concerned with their own interests. Well, recent published reports talk about a property that your church owns, Columbia Towers at MLK Village in Atlanta. It's a home for the disadvantaged. At least a dozen lawsuits have been filed by residents evicted for not being able to pay their rent. Some of the outstanding balances are less than $30. As someone who receives more than $7,000 a month for a housing allowance from Ebenezer Baptist Church, how do you explain this to Georgia voters who are struggling currently to make ends meet?
Well, let me say that serving in the United States Senate and continuing to serve my church is the honor of my life. And it gives me a lens through which to do the work that I'm doing. But here's why you know I'm running against a desperate candidate. Anytime a candidate would stoop to the level of trying to sully the name, he and his allies, to sully the name of Martin Luther King Jr.'s church and John Lewis's church, you know that's a desperate candidate. Let me tell you about my church. My church is a Matthew 25 church. We spend every week, every day feeding the hungry and the homeless. They know that those false charges that they've created are not true. We stand up for poor people every single day, and I ran for the Senate to do at a policy level what we do at a local level every single day. I'm not going to be distracted by him and his allies. My people know the truth. They know the work we do every single day, and I couldn't be prouder of them. Proud to represent the Senate and proud to serve Ebenezer Baptist Church.
So just to clarify, your position is that the allegations in these lawsuits are not true?
I am saying that it is very obvious that my opponent and his allies are busy trying to sully Ebenezer Baptist Church.
Now you see the problem with the truth.
Switching gears a little bit here, sir. Your ex-wife filed a lawsuit asking for increased child support, saying that she had to pay for child care on days that your duties as a senator interfered with your parenting time, and citing significant increases in your income. In 30 seconds, what is your response to that lawsuit?
Listen, I went through a divorce, like a lot of people. And while that was a painful period, what came out of that was two amazing children that I just talked to before I came on this stage. And my children know that I am with them and for them, and that I support them in every single way that a father does.
Thank you, Senator Warnock. Now to you, Mr. Walker. Recent ads have highlighted allegations of past domestic violence. They've raised questions about how transparent you've been as far as your resume. In 1 minute, how do you respond to voters who question your integrity, both personally and professionally?
First of all, I've been very transparent, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. And I say I had a mental problem, and I'll be a champion for mental health, because so many people suffer from mental health. But to have people like Senator Warnock that demonize mental health, when I want to tell everyone out there, you can get help. Don't listen to Senator Warnock and his people. You can get help. All you got to do is ask. All you got to do is ask. But the problem with the truth, you just saw it. You just saw it, because he won't answer that about evicting the people from the church. And I told him I'll pay their salary. You're evicting them right now during these hard times.
We have not evicted. We have not evicted those tenants.
I didn't write the article.
I didn't
write the article. And most of the people out there steal my time.
I'm okay with the discussion. If you start talking over each other, we have to move forward.
We have not evicted the tenants.
I can speak, Senator.
And he should take that money and pay it back to the veterans that he exploited while pretending to run a not-for-profit.
See, you can tell that he's not desperate, because if he had read in that thing, he would have saw that I had nothing to do with that. But he is so desperate right now, and he really wants that seat. He's now telling you, I didn't evict anyone. It is written in the paper. I didn't do this. Well, Senator, you did. And it's okay to speak the truth. Do not bear false witness, Senator. Do not bear false witness.
Mr. Walker, to keep this moving, I want to follow up with you. You have been very open on your, Senator Warnock, we need to move forward here. You have been very open about your struggles with mental illness, and you even wrote a book about your diagnosis of dissociative identity disorder. We recently asked if you were still receiving treatment, and this is what you had to say.
No, that's all done, and you don't need to, and that's why I tell people. I think one thing I told people is I've been open about it, and I was open about it, 14 years ago.
Mr. Walker, in 30 seconds, can you clarify this? Are you saying you no longer have dissociative identity disorder, or is this something that you continue to this day to manage?
No, you don't have to have treatment for it. And I encourage people to continue to talk to people. I talk to my pastors. And I continue to get help if I need help. But I don't need any help. I'm doing well. But that's the reason why I tell anyone out there that is suffering from any type of mental illness, you can get help. All you got to do is ask. And I will always be a champion for mental health.
And just to clarify, how can Georgia voters, though, be assured that this will not impact your ability to lead if elected?
Because I'm ready to lead today. I'm ready to vote with the Georgia voters, whereas Senator Warnock has voted with Joe Biden 96% of the time. I'm ready to vote with the Georgia voters today.
Thank you, gentlemen. We'll move on to our next topic. Tina?
And that topic, gentlemen, is health insurance. Georgia is one of 12 states that have not accepted federal funding to expand
Lord have
Medicaid
mercy.
under the affordable.
Georgia, there's no way in hell y'all could even remotely think about voting for that fool Herschel Walker. Matt, Jason, and Michael, I'm looking at comments on social. I'm looking at, that is absolutely one of the dumbest people I have ever seen stand before the public to want to be a United States senator. Who am I going to start with first?
Well, you can start with me, Roland.
Fine, go ahead.
Well, see, you got to understand Georgia and the white people in Georgia that support Brian Kemp, that support Donald Trump. This is the type of Negro they like. Dana Loesch, how do you pronounce her name?
Lash.
She said, Dana Lash said she doesn't care basically what he did. He could abort baby eagles or what have you. This is about raw naked power. This is what these white supremacists want. They want a dumb Negro who they can tell what to do, and he'll go vote the way that they want. They want to take back control of the Senate. They want to take back control of the House, shut all this stuff down, all these policies that have been beneficial to African Americans. And they want to stop any more of Biden's nominations to the U.S. Supreme Court, as well as the federal bench. This is about raw naked power. They don't care how dumb the Negro is, as long as he does what they tell him to do. That's what they want.
Matt?
I think Michael's 100% right, but this is exactly why people have to not only go out and vote, they have to understand the issues and understand who they're voting for. What's so terrifying about this is there are going to be a lot of people who are going to see Herschel Walker and they're going to vote because they remember his football glory days. I mean, he's obviously not competent, and to me, to be a senator, and this is a question of basic competence, but that's exactly the fear, and I think Michael's right. I mean, what we're seeing is them beating this drum. If you notice in most of his answers, all he did was try to link Pastor Warnock to Joe Biden, right? And that's what we're seeing around the country. It's just the same messaging that you can't trust Democrats, you can't just trust Joe Biden. And I mean, I understand that Herschel Walker's children, or at least one of his children, came out and said that he hasn't been honest about his past and a number of different things. So this is troubling. It's troubling that he has even any kind of momentum. And I'm hoping that the voters in Georgia do the right thing.
Jason, at the end of the day, turn out. If more folk who like Walker turn out, Warnock loses. And again, the other issue is this here. There's a third candidate who's running, and so right now the polls are showing Warnock 46-43. This is actually looking like it's headed to a runoff. So we might have a repeat of 2020.
I think this is going to be a really tight race. Herschel Walker is not the smartest guy in the world. I still think he and Tommy Tuberville would have a close one in an IQ contest. But I would say that Herschel Walker here, the thing that I'm most afraid of is the way that they talked about character, glossed over the things that Herschel Walker has done. He put a gun to a woman's head, and nobody talked about that. He actually did say, I want to shoot out with the police, in a domestic violence situation, but the police redacted it because he's a football hero. Like, these are the things that people aren't talking about. And the media, the mainstream media focused only on this abortion story, which to me was a pretty small story. And I know it showed his hypocrisy, but putting a gun to a woman's head is a bigger story. The fact that he has a history of domestic violence, the fact that he has 4 children and didn't raise any of them. You know what I mean? And he says he talks to his pastors. What are they talking about? That's my question. What are you talking to your pastors about if you have 4 kids by 4 different women and didn't raise any of them, weren't there for any of them, to the point where your super right-wing son comes out against you and says that you're a fraud? It frustrated me. I think that they went in harder on Warnock's, situation with his ex-wife, which to me, and be mad at me if you want, that sounds like a lot of divorces I've heard. It doesn't sound like he put a gun to anybody's head or did something violent. And, when you leave town, you leave your kids with a babysitter. That makes sense. But they focused more on that than they focused on all of the things that are called into question with Herschel Walker's character. And that's what terrifies me about this race, is how it's being covered, how they did not go after him or hold him accountable. Even when they showed that clip, they didn't hold him accountable for saying, oh, no, I'm cured. He sounds like Kanye West. And I think it's ridiculous.
You're absolutely right. And that was the thing, Matt, as I watched that, it was a horrible question. And they should have said, no, walk. It was so like, yeah, you had some issues in the past with your wife. No, it should have been, your ex-wife said you put a gun to her head. I mean, they should have walked through that and had him answer that. So I don't understand, in terms of what that rationale was. But yeah, it was like they were more in depth talking about Warnock, you paying more in child support, opposed to this fool who literally, and then you have one of his own children who said, yeah, my daddy abused abused my mother.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Jason hit the nail on the head with everything he said. I mean, the fact that the media is glossing over that and that was glossed over in those questions, and that just like Tommy Tuberville, that there's being any credence being given to Herschel Walker when he's not a serious candidate for, the United States Senate, it's terrifying. And it's terrifying that the race is as close as it is. I mean, his support should be in the teens. Somebody recently wrote about how, I can't think of his name, but he recently wrote about how celebrities don't need to become politicians, and how when we glorify celebrities, sometimes we empower them to do things they are not qualified to do. This is example number one for that. He should not be in a realistic race for United States Senate, but the fact that he's that close in the polling is terrifying, because that shows you that people are looking at Herschel Walker, the guy they remember who ran the football, and not Herschel Walker, whose serious character flaws absolutely do not qualify him to hold public office, let alone the United States Senate.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment.
When we invest in ourselves, our glow, our vision, our vibe, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?